An insider drops a bombshell Giannis Antetokounmpo report. The Spurs are reportedly all in, and they have their target set on Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason, and we're going to break it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all the great content that Josh, myself, and Brian have for you. But let's get right underway. The Spurs are expected to ask about Giannis Antetokounmpo as they are committed to putting together a contending team now with Wemby. Jake Fisher. The Spurs have 36 future draft picks and 7 over the next 7 years and one of the cleanest salary sheets in the NBA. We're going to get into all of that. But first, I just want to do something real quick. Look at that. I understand, guys. I truly understand that you guys aren't loving the fact that in a Giannis trade, Stephon Castle most likely would have to go. And I get it. I love Stephon Castle, Rookie of the Year. And if you're a Rookie of the Year as a San Antonio Spur, that's David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Victor Wembanyama, and Stephon Castle. That is elite company to be into. That's 2 Hall of Famers. That's a future Hall of Famer in Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. Future MVP in Wemby, 2 other MVPs. So, I understand Stephon Castle's doing great things. This Giannis guy, though, just is going insane. 32, 12, and 5 since his first MVP in 2018, and he's only going to continue to stay at that same level, especially if he has a lot of less pressure on his shoulders. But first thing we got to look at here is the Milwaukee Bucks. Why would Giannis want to leave? Of course, we know the Dame injury. Dame just tore his Achilles. He's out for next season. At best, he is going to be back at the tail end of next season at best, and that is a quick recovery. That is one. Brook Lopez is a free agent. The Bucks don't have future draft assets. They've traded away a lot of their future draft assets. Bobby Portis isn't a player option. They don't have great young talent. There's nothing there but Giannis. We saw that this year against the Pacers team. That's a really good Pacers team. I think they're an underrated team, but we saw that this year. Giannis in that series did nothing other than put up 33, 15, and 6.5 in the 5 games in the playoffs this year, and they lost in 5. He did nothing short of that, and they lost in 5. He is still great, and he's not forever be great, of course, he's not immortal, but he has been at this level for a while, and he's not old. He can continue to grow. That's point 1. Point 2, the San Antonio Spurs have cap space, and obviously we have other things coming on the horizon, and we'll speak on those here in just a moment, but that's the cap space for 24-25. This is the contracts that we're looking at. De'Aaron Fox is going to need a deal soon. We'll touch on that here in just a moment. Devin Vassell's locked up for a while. Keldon Johnson's locked up for a while. Barnes locked up until the end of next season. Wemby's going to be the interesting one there. We know Chris Paul's a free agent. Stephon Castle locked up for a while. Jeremy Sohan's going to be an interesting one here coming up soon. And then the rest of our bench fillers that aren't really going to take up much financials. But the Spurs are in such a great financial position because they're not really paying anybody unnecessary money. There's obviously bigger contracts, but in today's NBA, these aren't even crazy contracts. But we're not paying anybody an unnecessary amount of excess money. The Spurs this coming off season, Charles Bassey, Bismack Biyombo, Mamu, Chris Paul. Not too many people within the rotation are going to be leaving this roster this offseason. Chris Paul was, and then a mixture of Biyombo, Bassey, and Mamu. Really, they took up, other than Biyombo with injury, but set aside, they realistically, if they were to play next year for the San Antonio Spurs together, would take up 25 minutes a game, roughly. Depending 25 to 28 minutes a game, maybe. All of them together. So they were not really missing much when it comes to that on the San Antonio Spurs side. And then the NBA team apron tracker for next season. So the 25-26 with what's expected to rise, you have $195 million before you reach the first apron and $207 before you reach the second apron. When you reach the second apron, that's when things get hairy. You can't trade certain players unless it's for certain players. You can't do a lot of this kind of stuff. It really gets complicated. Not complicated, but it can get a little dicey when you get up to that second apron portion. So, where do we stand in that? The Spurs, that might be hard to see, but we're plus $48 million underneath the first apron and $60 underneath the second apron. AKA, we have got money. We are one of the top 5 teams in the league with money, with cap space, and the capabilities to do a lot this offseason. And then obviously the first thing, we've talked about De'Aaron Fox slated to be a free agent in 2026 in the past. He's eligible to sign a 3-year deal before the start of the regular season. By waiting for next summer would open up the possibility for a 4-year, $229 million deal extension. This was with the Kings, but this year, I believe he has the ability to have a 3 or 4 year that's going to be around that $220 million deal. So De'Aaron Fox, he wants to get one done with the Spurs, and we know that he wants to get one done with the Spurs. He opted out of this specifically because he wanted to get a new contract, 1, and 2, he did want to go to the San Antonio Spurs. So that is the first thing down the pipeline, and yes, is that going to make it so maybe our salary increases even $20 million? Yes, but we'll still be 30 under the apron. And then the other kicker down the road is we've got this here. After this season, Wemby has a 2-year, $26.1 million remaining on his rookie scale contract. He is signed after being drafted in 2023, and despite the season injury, his $16.9 team option for 26-27 is expected to get exercised before October 31st. So starting in the 2026 offseason, Wemby will be eligible to sign a 5-year, $271 million rookie extension, the first year of which would start in 2027-2028 if Wemby is named MVP, DPOY, or one of 3 LNBAs. The extension would increase to 326. And he could do the trifecta next year. I mean, he should be an All-NBA player. He was going to be this year. He probably should be next year. He was going to walk away with Defensive Player of the Year this year, but he obviously has the illness. And MVP, with what this roster can be, is not out of the question. He puts up 27 and 12. Without Giannis, 27 and 12. The team gets to 48 and 34. They are the 3rd seed, 4th seed. Yeah, he'll be in that MVP conversation, especially because Shea's already got one. Ant will be in that conversation. Luka probably won't be in that, maybe. We'll see. It'd be Luka, Ant, Jason Tatum, couple others. You never know who's going to ascend in the NBA. But this is the situation that the Spurs are in. I highlight all of that because we wanted to talk about the Bucks to see where the Bucks are and why Giannis would leave. They have nothing. They have no future. The only way they have a future is if they trade Giannis, because they can't really build around him because they don't have the cap space to. They can't sign the people that are already there that are good, and they don't have young talent to go draft. They don't have picks to draft it, and they don't have the young talent. We have the space. We have the assets. We have everything, and we have a guy who is ready to win now. There's no need to try to wait and do everything organically. I understand that you don't want to mortgage the future, but the future is Wemby. The future is Fox. The future is Castle, so which he can stay. You fight like heck to keep Stephon Castle in this deal. Of course. If you don't have to give him up, you don't give him up. And if that means Keldon Johnson, that means Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, and picks, then I'm good with it. Because if you can keep Castle along with that, I'm great. But if you have to give up Castle, you would want to give up Castle for a guy who can do this. You would want to give up Castle for the second best player in the league. You would want to give up Castle for a guy to Wemby in literally the modern day prime Robinson and Duncan. You would get a prime Robinson with a prime Duncan. Instead, the modern day version, instead of getting you get Giannis and Wemby with De'Aaron Fox. Insert whomever you want else. Doesn't matter. You have those guys. People are going to want to come to San Antonio. It's a state people want to live in Texas. People are going to want to come to a high-class organization. They have a great fan base, as we are all here. We know how great our fan base is. Yeah, let's go get Giannis and let's go run off a three-peat, because we would be in line to do that all healthy. Giannis has already put up 50 points and 12 rebounds in a Game 6 in the finals. He is still at that capacity, just putting up 33, 15, and 6.5. We know what Wemby's going to be, and we know what he already is, and we know how great Fox is. The rest can be figured out. But the fact that it's actually something the Spurs are going to look to pursue, and we know they're shrewd operators. We know they're not going to just go be like, hey, go take everything from us. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. So we know the deal is going to be legitimate. We're going to be in the bidding, and we are one of the top organizations and one of the top rosters with some of the top assets that the Milwaukee Bucks will be able to do to retool this roster, or to retool their roster. And our roster will just become a dynasty. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This has been Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner. Appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be back with you guys very soon.